With Generation 9 competitive underway, there have been many Pokemon dominant from their stats to move pools and their abilities. Let us look at the top 5 competitive abilities that are making some of these Pokemon insanely broken and defining the meta as we speak. This is, by the way, in no particular order. Unaware has been making headlines all over the place, being on Pokemon like Clodsire, Dondozo, and Skeledirge, 3 amazing OU Pokemon. Unaware is such a good ability because it allows a user to ignore the stat boost of other Pokemon. So like a Dragon Dance from a Salamence is completely ignored, and a +2 Gholdengo Shadow Ball from a Nasty Plot isn't as powerful because of the Unaware ability. Additionally, all 3 of these Pokemon have massive HP stats and overall pretty good defenses, which is what makes Unaware so far so good. By being immune to these positive stat changes on your opponent's side, it becomes a pain for your opponent to deal with these Pokemon. It is the reason why Clodsire is an immensely powerful special defense wall despite its other lower stats, and why Dondozo is such a fat Pokemon and annoying to deal with. Skeledirge as of late has also started to see a lot of more popularity, and Unaware ability has somewhat of the reason why. If you want to know more of the reason why Skeledirge is actually being really good in OU right now, be sure to check out my latest video where I go over a more in-depth analysis of Skeledirge. Overall, this is such a good ability, and it's no surprise that 3 Pokemon in the OU tier are dominant in part because of this ability. With Chi-Yu banned to Ubers, Shampao has now risen and taken its spot. With amazing stats of 130 speed and 120 attack, its ability Sword of Ruin has made it difficult for opponents to counter. Sword of Ruin permanently decreases the opponent's defense stat while Chiampao is on the field. This amplifies Chiampao's physical damage significantly, and it becomes a nuisance to deal with. Ice Spinner, Ice Shard, Throat Chop, Crunch, Sacred Sword, Psychic Fang, Sucker Punch, these are all powerful moves coming from this Pokemon that are annoying to deal with in the OU metagame. It can be an amazing revenge killer and be a killer sweeper if your opponent is not careful. Screens set up by Grimmsnarl to help negate the damage output can be negated by Psychic Fangs, which can take off those pesky screens. In addition, another reason why this ability has become a lot more powerful is because Chiampao is one of the fastest Pokemon, so it can just warrant for Choice Band or Life Orb sets, which can help further boost the Sword of Ruin damage. You can argue maybe Vessel of Ruin from Tinglu is equally scarier, but to be honest, Tinglu is susceptible to those Choice Band and U-turns from Meowscarada and other effective offensive physical threats like Chiampao, especially since it has no means of recovery. Photosynthesis or Quark Drive has stormed into the meta like never before. These abilities are Paradox exclusive abilities, allowing to permanently boost the highest stat of these Pokemon when they are underneath the sun for Photosynthesis Pokemon and Electric Terrain for Quark Drive Pokemon. In addition, you can also use the Booster Energy item to activate these abilities right off the bat. This has allowed for some painful strategies to take place. Roaring Moon and Iron Valiant are probably 2 of the biggest culprits of using this ability more than the other Paradox Pokemon. Iron Valiant with wanting to permanently raise his speed stat or special attack stat and outspeed the entire meta and spam Moonblast, Aura Sphere or other offensive moves to help destroy the opponent's side. Roaring Moon wanted to raise its stats to deal more damage or become really fast too. Proper strategy surrounding Roaring Moon is to actually use the Booster Energy item to activate its photosynthesis ability and then use Terra Flying Acrobatics to deal massive damage. So not only does the Booster Energy help provide for extra stat buffs, but in the case of Roaring Moon, it can provide another powerful strategy to be used. Iron Treads and Iron Moth are 2 other Pokemon that utilize this ability very well too. Given they already have sub-legendary stats with amazing stat distribution, the offensive firepower to take advantage of this ability allows for more power creep like never before. It was also because of them along with Chi-Yu that Sun teams were very popular, very much because of the dominance of the ability of Photosynthesis. I honestly believe that the dominance of some of these Paradox Pokemon will be reduced by a bit because some of them really do need that extra stat buff to put them over the top and become very menacing in the OU tier. Purifying Salt is the signature ability of Garganacl, and my god has become a nuisance on the field. Purifying Salt has ghost type moves, do half damage to it, and it cannot be statused. How absurd is that? I mean, what was Pokemon thinking? With already bulky stats by its side, this serves to be an annoying task to get rid of. Having a safe switch in for those status moves like Spore from Amoonguss or Balloon, in addition to being able to resist strong +2 Shadow Balls from Gholdengo or anyone else, is so good. Garganacl's impossible defenses and amazing ability is what makes this thing such a pain to take down, given that Pokemon like Chi-Yu, Annihilape, or even early on Palafin are no longer there to keep this thing in relative check. It's now emerged as possibly the best defensive piece out there. I really do hate this thing. Lastly, of course, we have to talk about the ability Good as Gold, the signature ability of Gholdengo. This by far is a phenomenal ability, arguably the best in the game currently, allowing Gholdengo to never be statused. It is an amazing user to not only block Defog, but also Rapid Spin because of his addition of Ghost typing, which is what makes this Good as Gold such an amazing ability on this Pokemon. Blocking the Fog was probably the best thing this ability has going for it because it allows Stealth Rock and Spikes to be on the field longer. Good as Gold is really good arguably because of this Pokemon, and then its hyping require much more intricate gameplay around this ability. I can't tell you how many times this ability has come in clutch to block oncoming Will-O-Wisp from Skeldritch, or even a Spore from Amoonguss, basically letting a free switch in come in and disregarding their statuses. Getting status is fairly common, but being able to resist it is an amazing tactic. Status moves have been part of competitive for so long, but having now Pokemon that can full on block it and exploit users for doing so has now changed the way competitive has been played in Generation 9 so far. Well, these are the top 5 abilities that I think that are really dominating the meta, and hey, if you want to know something else that's dominating the meta, like I said earlier, be sure to check out the Skeldritch video where you can see how Skeldritch is actually one of the best Pokemon in the OU tier, if not the best fire type. And be sure to subscribe for more competitive Pokemon from me just like this.